Logitech has built a reputation for making products that people talk about. Whenever they release something new, the tech world stops and pays attention. The MX Master line of mice is one of their most successful series, and with every new model, users want to know what has changed, what has improved, and what has been left behind. The Logitech MX Master 4 is no different. It caught attention quickly, not because Logitech officially revealed it, but because an early Amazon listing gave the world a sneak peek before it was meant to. Once the leak was out, people started looking closely, and that's where the real story began. The MX Master 4, at first glance, doesn't look very different from the MX Master 3. The familiar ergonomic shape is still there. Logitech knows that comfort is one of the main reasons people love this mouse, so they did not try to reinvent the wheel. The curved design still fits the hand naturally, especially for people who spend hours working on their computer. If you liked how the MX Master 3 felt, you'll feel right at home with the MX Master 4. But while the outside looks similar, the materials used are different. Logitech has introduced new stain-resistant finishes. That might sound like a small change, but it matters a lot. Anyone who has used older MX Master mice knows that over time, the rubber parts can start to peel or feel sticky. It's not pleasant, and it makes the mouse lose that premium feel. By improving the finish, Logitech is trying to solve this long-term problem. The MX Master 4 should stay cleaner, look newer, and feel high quality even after years of daily use. This kind of subtle upgrade doesn't make big headlines, but for the people who actually use the mouse day in and day out, it makes a huge difference. Logitech is focusing on durability and user experience in ways that show they understand what longtime fans care about. But the design is only part of the story. The real excitement comes from the new features. Logitech took a close look at what worked in the previous models and what needed improvement. One of the first areas they worked on was the gesture button. In earlier models, the gesture button was a flat pad under your thumb. It worked, but it always felt a little underwhelming. The MX Master 4 changes that. The gesture button now comes with haptic feedback. This means every time you press or swipe, you feel a small vibration. It's subtle, but it makes the button feel alive. What makes it even more interesting is customization. Using the Logitech Options Plus software, you can adjust how strong the haptic feedback feels. Some people like a soft touch, while others want a stronger click-like response. The ability to personalize the interaction makes the mouse feel more responsive to individual needs. It turns a simple button into something dynamic, something that adapts to you instead of forcing you to adapt to it. This is the kind of refinement that shows Logitech isn't just adding features for the sake of marketing. They're making changes that actually impact how the mouse feels in real use. Another new feature is the Actions Ring. This is a circular shortcut system that changes depending on the application you are using. For example, if you're editing photos in Photoshop, the Actions Ring can let you rotate tools or adjust brush sizes with a quick thumb movement. If you're working in Excel, the ring can switch between sheets or perform quick actions without needing extra keyboard shortcuts. This kind of context-aware design is smart. It gives you more control, but it doesn't clutter the mouse with extra buttons that most people won't use. It strikes a balance between simplicity and power, which is something the MX Master line has always tried to achieve. When you combine the improved gesture button with the Actions Ring, the MX Master 4 starts to feel like more than just a mouse. It feels like a productivity tool designed to make work faster and smoother. Logitech clearly thought about how people use their computers for different tasks and tried to build features that help in all of those areas. Of course, a good mouse also needs reliable technology under the hood. Logitech didn't ignore that. The MX Master 4 comes with a new USB-C dongle, a faster radio chip, and an improved antenna system. These upgrades lead to more stable connections and less lag. Anyone who has used a wireless mouse knows how frustrating it can be when the connection cuts out at the worst possible time. By making the connection more reliable, Logitech is reducing that frustration. It might not sound exciting, but it's one of those improvements that makes daily use feel smoother and more professional. Another quiet but meaningful improvement is the click design. Logitech managed to make the clicks up to 90% quieter compared to earlier models. For many people, that's a huge deal. If you work late at night and don't want to disturb others, or if you're in a quiet office environment, quieter clicks make a big difference. It's the kind of upgrade you don't think about until you experience it, and then you never want to go back to louder, more distracting clicks. Sustainability is another area Logitech has emphasized with the MX Master 4. The mouse is made using recycled plastic, with different percentages depending on the color you choose. The graphite version uses 54% recycled plastic, while the light gray version uses 48%. On top of that, the battery is made from 100% recycled cobalt. These choices don't change how the mouse works in your hand, but they do show that Logitech is thinking about the bigger picture. Consumers today care about eco-friendly products, and Logitech wants to show that you can have a premium, high-performance device without ignoring the environment. But even with all these upgrades and thoughtful touches, there is one area where the MX Master 4 left people disappointed. Logitech didn't increase the polling rate. Polling rate refers to how often the mouse reports its position to the computer. For gamers, this is very important because higher polling rates mean faster, smoother responsiveness. Many people hoped the MX Master 4 would finally break past 125 Hz and reach 1000 Hz, which is standard on gaming mice. But Logitech chose not to make that leap. The polling rate remains the same as before. For productivity users, this might not matter much. The MX Master series has always been about comfort, multitasking, and workflow. Logitech seems to believe that gamers should look at their G-series mice instead. But even with that logic, some fans feel like this was a missed opportunity. If Logitech had raised the polling rate, the MX Master 4 could have been both the ultimate productivity mouse and a solid gaming option. By sticking with the old standard, Logitech kept the MX Master 4 firmly in the productivity category, and some people see that as limiting. Still, the overall picture is positive. The MX Master 4 is a mouse that looks familiar on the outside but hides smart improvements on the inside. The stain-resistant materials make it more durable. The haptic gesture button makes it more interactive. The Actions ring makes it more powerful and versatile. The quieter clicks and improved wireless technology make everyday use smoother. The eco-friendly design makes it more responsible. If you sum it up, the MX Master 4 is not trying to be a gaming mouse. It's trying to be the best productivity mouse possible. And for most users, it succeeds. The only real drawback is the unchanged polling rate. And while that's disappointing for some, it doesn't overshadow the many upgrades Logitech delivered. When we look at the MX Master 4 in the bigger picture, it's clear that Logitech wanted to refine the formula rather than reinvent it. To understand this decision, it helps to compare the MX Master 4 to the models that came before it. The MX Master 3 was already considered one of the best productivity mice in the world. It had a comfortable shape, smooth scrolling, and strong software support. The MX Master 2S before it introduced features that made switching between multiple devices easier. Each generation has added something new without losing what worked. The MX Master 4 continues this trend. At first glance, some people might think it looks the same as the MX Master 3. And in some ways they're right. The design hasn't changed much. Logitech knows that users love the ergonomic shape, and changing it too much could upset the balance. So instead of reworking the entire body, Logitech focused on details that improve long-term use. The stain-resistant materials are one example. They address a real-world issue without making the mouse feel unfamiliar. If we compare features, though, the MX Master 4 does stand apart. The haptic gesture button is a meaningful change. The old gesture button worked, but it didn't feel like a standout feature. Now, with haptic feedback and customization, it feels more responsive and modern. The Actions ring also sets the MX Master 4 apart. No earlier MX Master had this feature. It's not just a minor tweak. It's a new way to interact with software. These two features alone make the MX Master 4 feel like a step forward, rather than just a recycled version of the 3. Another area where Logitech made improvements is wireless stability. The new dongle and antenna design give the MX Master 4 an edge over older models. If you've ever used the MX Master 2S or even the 3 and noticed occasional lag, you'll see the difference here. It feels smoother and more reliable, which matters when you're working on something important. The quieter clicks also separate the MX Master 4 from the earlier versions. This is not something you'll notice in a spec sheet, but when you use it daily, it makes a real difference.